bookish besties, happy fall, or at least for those who consider this weather fall and is looking to find a way to celebrate. And there's nothing that screams fall more than cozying up with an epic fantasy adventure. Fall is the perfect time to start that next fantasy long series that you might be scared of, because what's better than cozying up with a fuzzy blanket, a little cup of your favorite, coffee, tea, hot chocolate, warm bevy of choice. It's like a little bit crispy outside, and you have the entire fall and winter to rot in bed or your favorite comfy area of choice and just dive into an epic fantasy world while, the world is currently on fire around us. It's truly my favorite escape. So I have compiled a major list for you guys of some of the best epic fantasy series and books that you can dive into this fall. This list consists of books that I've personally read and recommend, plus books on my TBR that I plan on starting to dive into this fall. So you can steal from my read list and my TBR list. Anything on the TBR that I should put at the top of my agenda, let me know in the comments below. And y'all, let's dive in. I will say first that this video is going to have 0 spoiler warnings. So anyone can watch and get inspired for your cozy fall fantasy read. And of course, I am going to start this list with my personal favorite book of all time and series and fantasy series of all time, Throne of Glass. An assassin is pulled from prison to compete for the king's favor, and what begins as a contest becomes a fight for survival and freedom in a magical, war-torn kingdom. Are you intrigued yet? So this book does start out as a young adult style, and it really matures as the books go on. Think of it very similar to how Harry Potter starts out from a very childlike perspective. He's, Harry's 12, and the books mature as he ages. This is very similar. The author, Sarah J. Maas, this was her very first book she ever wrote and started writing it when she was 16 years old. It was published about 10 years later when she was 26, and you can tell in the first couple books, and then, ouch. So if you haven't dove into Throne of Glass yet, consider this your sign from the universe that it's time. Next, we have The Serpent and the Wings of Night. A human girl enters a deadly vampire competition to earn her place among them, but love and betrayal threaten everything. Think of this as Hunger Games meets vampires. Now, my only little asterisk here, book 1, phenomenal. Book 2, hard to get through. For me personally, you could be very, very different. I still highly recommend trying the series because I loved book 1. Book 1 was beautiful, and I know the Crown of Naxia series is not done. So you have stuff to look forward to here. It would not be a cozy fall fantasy list without Lord of the Rings. Come on, it's a classic. A young hobbit must carry a cursed ring across Middle-earth to destroy it. It's an epic journey of friendship, courage, and sacrifice. Come on, it's cozy, it's fun. There's now a Nintendo Switch game where you get to be a hobbit in Hobbit Town. Like, come on. Of course, we also have Fourth Wing on this list. I've talked about Fourth Wing so much. I have videos breaking down all the books, so go back, check them out if you have read the series. If not, here's your sign to pick up the first book now. A young woman defiles expectation to become a dragon rider at a brutal military academy full of secrets, war, and swoon-worthy tension. We love that little enemies to lovers vibe this entire book. For all of my GOT lovers out there, have you picked up the books of Game of Thrones? Now, I know George R.R. Martin has not finished the series yet. We don't think he'll ever finish The Winds of Winter, but it's fine. We're going to forgive George because the first books in the series are, I say the first books, all the series that's out currently are really phenomenal reads, and it's great to kind of follow up with what happened in the book versus what happened on the show because they are two kind of very different stories and very different takes. Noble families battle for power across a fractured kingdom where betrayal, magic and war has ruled the land. And that's a very, very vague description. If you're looking to kind of tiptoe your way into Brandon Sanderson, I highly recommend Tress on the Emerald Sea. Very, very good for any first timers who are a little scared to dive into his other series. And I do have another one of his series on this list. But if you want to tiptoe and see just like his writing style, Tress. A quiet girl from a small island braves a dangerous magical sea to rescue her love and discovers her own power along the way. It's beautiful, it's heartfelt. There is a twist at the end that had my jaw dropping. I did not see coming for 1,000 miles away. Great, whimsical, cute, great adventure to cozy up with this fall. We're gonna bring back another classic Sarah J. Maas book on this list, A Court of Thorn and Roses. If you haven't dove into the ACOTAR world yet, you need to. It is so good. Now, I will say that book 1, slow start. Get to part 3, and then you will be ramping it up good to go. Us in the fandom usually say that book 2 and 3 in the world of SJM Beyond is a reward for finishing book 1. Slow start. It is very much a Beauty and the Beast retelling, so keep that in mind as you're going through it. But after killing a wolf who may or may not have been Fae, a mortal girl is taken to the magical realm of the Fae, where dark secrets and forbidden romances await. It does kind of teeter on the side of fantasy romance rather than just epic fantasy, but if you're looking for a little spice, a little romance, that's your girl. From Blood and Ash. Now, my disclaimer, I got to book 2 in this series and it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. I tried it. I had a very good time in this first book. Another plot twist that my jaw dropped, but I did call. I called it. In From Blood and Ash, a chosen maiden is trained in secrecy, begins to question everything when a very mysterious guard enters her life and war looms. Yes, you have a little close proximity. I love a bodyguard moment. Blood and Ash is full of them. Did you think this would be a cozy fall read bucket list if I didn't include the OG? If I didn't include Twilight on this list? It's time for a reread, guys. Let's go back to 2013. Come on, let's break out our Team Edward shirts and our Edward cardboard cutouts because I know that I had one. It's time. And if anyone lives under a rock, Twilight is about a teenage girl who falls in love with a brooding vampire in a rainy town where danger and eternal love lurk. Come on, who doesn't love the OG vampire romance? We also have Shatter Me, if we're gonna kind of bring back that 2010s-esque era. And in Shatter Me, a girl whose touch is fatal escapes captivity and finds herself caught between revolution, power, and desire. And I will say, this series is still going strong because there is a new book out. So something to look forward to if you're starting the Shatter Me series. You got new content. Next up, we have Belladonna. I highly recommend the audiobook because they all have British accents and it's beautiful to listen to. Hence I said Belladonna in that accent. But in Belladonna, a girl who cannot die partners with Death himself to solve a murder in a gothic, poison-laced manner. It's very murder mystery. It's very tension with death itself. Oh, it's so good. Circling back to some Fae-centered fantasy, we have the Cruel Prince series. A mortal girl is raised in the high court of Fairy and must outwit treacherous Fae politics to earn her place among them. The tension in this series you can cut with a butter knife. It's so good. It's so good. And don't ask about Cardan's Tale. We don't talk about it. And to wrap up my personal recommendations to you guys from my bookshelf, Crescent City. Of course, we have to end with Sarah J. Maas. We started with SJM. We're going to come full circle and end it with SJM2. So in Crescent City, it's very much an urban fantasy where a party girl with a tragic past teams up with a broody fallen angel to solve a murder and uncover dark secrets. It's giving modern fantasy murder mystery, whodunit thriller, and fae wear backwards baseball caps and use iPhones. It's wild, but it's a good time. It's a good time. Plus, bonus points for reading all of the SJM Massiverse, what we call it, and now you're caught up to the Marvel Avengers in-game level game that Sarah J. Maas is playing with her books. Okay, we are now moving on to my TBR. These are all fantasy books and epics that I have yet to read. I have heard great things about, and I'm looking forward to reading them. Maybe you're looking forward to reading them too. Maybe they deserve a spot on your TBR list. Tell me in the comments below which ones I should make a priority. So starting out with Book of Night. This is another one by Holly Black, who's the author of the Cruel Prince series. In A Book of Night, a con artist living in the shadows of a magical underworld is pulled back in for one last job that could destroy her. Listen, I love a morally gray main character, and it seems like we are going to get that with Book of Night. Also, it's Holly Black, so immediate read. Next up, we have Sorcery of Thorns. In The Sorcery of Thorns, a library apprentice accidentally unleashes a dangerous grimoire and must team up with a mysterious sorcerer to stop a catastrophe. I only know the word grimoire from Wicked, so there's that. But it's a book about a book, and it takes place in a library, and they have magic, and to me that screams everything about fall. Peri of the Orange Tree. This one has been on my TBR for a very long time. It is currently sitting in my bookcase. I can literally point to it in my head of where it lives, and it's just, she's a thick girl. She's a thick girl, and I haven't had the motivation to start her yet, but I've heard it's so good. But in this book, an epic feminist fantasy of dragons, queens, and ancient evil, where women hold the key to saving the world. Slay, girly pops, let's go. Not only do women save the world, but there's also lots of dragons, and I love dragons. So maybe that will convince me to take on this over 800-page novel. This next one is actually being turned into a movie, and that's Divine Rivals. So in Divine Rivals, we have two rival war correspondents who are exchanging anonymous letters through a magical wardrobe, and they find love amidst war and gods. I've heard this one is beautiful and heartbreaking. So I will read the book before I see it on the screen, but I'm excited about the opportunity and the potential that this has. Following up, we have The Six of Crows, and I fear I am criminally late to the game on this one. A criminal prodigy assembles a crew of misfits for an impossible heist in a gritty, magical city. It sounds like a morally gray found family trope, and I love a found family, and found family to me is just the most coziest fall vibes. I can't explain it, but you get it. You get it, and that feels like what Six of Crows is. My friends have been recommending this book to me for a hot minute, but we have Dance of Thieves. In Dance of Thieves, a reformed thief and an outlaw prince are thrown together in a game of cat and mouse where enemies become maybe a little something more. There's tension, there's banter, and most importantly, there's a map. I love me a book with a map. I love me a fantasy book with a map. That's when you know you're getting the good stuff. We also have The Stars Are Dying. In a world ruled by gods and prophecy, a girl with hidden powers becomes a pawn in a game of fate and freedom. This definitely is a newer release, and I love the feeling of cosmic and destiny themes that are really aligned with this book. A Kingdom of Stars and Shadows. A girl who is destined to marry a prince discovers her powers, and she is forced to choose between duty and desire. My question for her is, ¿por qué no las dos? Why can't you have both? But this is a fantasy that's filled with lust and sexual tension, and I eat that up. We're gonna go back in time a little bit to the Red Queen. Now, the Red Queen is an icon of probably the early to mid 2010s, I think. But in a world divided by blood color, a girl with hidden powers disrupts the balance between the nobles and the commoners. Very much old school dystopian fantasy vibes, and I think it's time that we re-enter our dystopian era. With Hunger Games coming back, with Sunrise on the Reaping, dystopian Ashley is back, and I think it's time to dive into Red Queen. A Daughter of No World. I heard that if you love Throne of Glass and the epic story that Selena goes through, you will love Daughter of No Worlds. A former slave with rare magic fights to join an elite order of warriors, but she uncovers a dangerous conspiracy instead. There's training montages, a slow burn romance, and epic world building. We have another book on this list that's being turned into a film with a TV adaptation, Lightlark. Every 100 years, rulers of cursed realms gather to compete in a deadly game where only one can break their curse. It's a little messy, very dramatic, and let's get real, we all have to make sure that we read it before we see it on the screen, right? My sister is literally up in my phone telling me to read this book. This is her top TBR for me personally. So Megan, I promise that I will. I promise that I will. And that is Assistant to the Villain. Come on. Villain, fall, Halloween vibes. Oh, it's here. But a young woman lands a job working for a mysterious villain, hence the name, and finds that the line between good and evil may be not so clear. With broken bonds, a girl with shattered soul bonds hides her power from the alpha males who once abandoned her, but fate has other plans. This is a very spicy reverse harem fantasy romance with a lot of trauma and tension, so consider me intrigued. Consider me intrigued. We also have Children of Blood and Bone, where a girl fights to bring back magic to a world where people have been oppressed and silenced. It's powerful, it's cinematic, it's dramatic, and it's so heart-wrenching emotional. This is definitely perfect for a colder night when you're looking to dive into something deep and emotional and gut-wrenching. All right, remember when I told you guys, if you're ready to dip your toes into Brandon Sanderson, dip it in with Tress of the Emerald Sea? Well, if you're ready to dive in head first, check out his Mistborn series. In his Mistborn series, a street thief discovers that she's part of a prophecy to overthrow a tyrant god in a world where metal fuels magic. The magic system here is supposedly super elite. This is some of Brandon Sanderson's best work, and honestly, this is your gateway into the Cosmere, which is Brandon's universe that he's creating with his books. So if you're ready to dive in with Mistborn. That's what I will be doing. A Discovery of Witches. This is also one of my best friend Caroline's favorite books, and she was like, Ashley, you have to read it. There's also a show on Netflix, so that's a plug. But in A Discovery of Witches, a reluctant witch discovers an enchanted manuscript and is drawn into a forbidden romance with a vampire scholar. Again, we're getting the vampire vibes, but this time with witches. So we love a little witchy vampire moment, a little academia. It's kind of giving Vampire Diaries a little bit, in like the best way. And to wrap this list up, I feel like I can take a breath after this. Powerless. I've heard a lot of mixed things about Powerless, so I'm not really here to influence or defluence you guys. Feel free, put it in the comments below, but I've also heard that Powerless is kind of a rip-off, knockoff of the Red Queen, which is also on this list, so if you'll have hot takes, the comments are open. In a world where superpowers rule, one girl with none is thrust into an elite academy with secrets, danger, and enemies to leverage tension. Bum, bum, bum. There's dark academia energy, fantasy vibes, and of course, enemies to lovers. I fear I would be sad for that. I fear I would be sad. All right, you guys, that wraps up my list of epic fantasy reads that you should dive into this fall. It encompassed my TBR as well as books that I've read and personally recommend. I would love to know, what books are you reading this fall? Is fall a time for epic fantasy? Do you really dive in different parts of the year? Is it more of just a vibe for you? I'd love to know. And also, all the books that I talked about in this video, let me know your thoughts below. Did you like these books? Do you recommend any of these books? Did you absolutely hate these books? And you're like, please, no one pick this up because it was so terrible. I want to know, so maybe I can remove it from my own TBR. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel for more fun book, chaotic topics. I love diving into book recommendations, but also reviews, analysis, TV and movie adaptations, deep dive fan theories, and more. You guys know I truly do it all, and I'm so thankful for all of you guys being here with me on my page. I'm so excited to dive into my first fall with you guys on the channel. Thank you for so much that you do, and this fall, you guys, happy reading.